of energy that we are, the body as a physical entity and as an energy body. When the physical body and the energy body are not joined, that connection between them is an ethereal line, which sometimes is so tenuous that it seems not to exist. Don Juan was certain that the energy body is pushed farther and farther away as one grows older, and that death comes as the result of the severance of that tenuous connection. So it's our clock. The connection with our energy body is the clock ticking. We come with it strongly connected, and life pushes us away from it. And again, as we've said in the past, don't go into this as an intellectual uh, image or description. It is a sensation of how, again, in our regular life, we don't really have the awareness of the energy body with us. We don't think of it. We don't think on terms, right? That's why we said we're trying to develop so that the energy body is the underlying force behind everything we do. And so that will make the connection stronger. And if we don't, that tenuous connection becomes more and more ethereal. And when it's finished, then death comes upon us. Sometimes you can see in someone the presence of death just by sensing that that connection is not there. The spirit is lost, and so it's much easier to fall into the actual physical death. But that's theme for another class. So these are the just essential concepts and essential sensations that we want you to have as we are developing this entry into the energy body. So I want to describe to you and practice together with you ways to use also the eyes to set up dreaming. And these are all practices that we're doing that we can do, of course, during the day, but it's primarily to be done before you go to sleep or before you take a nap, before you are connecting to dreaming from the position of sleep. And some of you were asking, I had a conversation with one of you recently regarding the frequency of dreaming. And one of the things that came up was, as you remember in the interview that we had you listen to, Nawal, from the 60s, when he is talking about the first book that he wrote. He was saying how the book gives the reader a false sense of continuity. It makes it look like everything is happening one after the other, and when in reality there are isolated events that are intermixed with long stretches of non-dreaming activity, for example, or not any spectacular kind of experiences of perception. So the same thing applies to the art of dreaming. Then Nawal will tell us that the book is very deceiving in that way, precisely because you read it and you get the idea that this is happening all the time, and it's not. So definitely there's a need for having many, many nights where we are just resting and regenerating. So I'm not sure if I referred to this before, but just as a reminder, if we look at sleep in a very simple way, the stages of sleep. When we go to sleep, first as we relax the mind and we are kind of like in this intermediate space or state between being awake and being asleep, that in terms of the waves of the brain, if you do a electroencephalogram, they call alpha, right? We all heard of the alpha state, a state of higher receptivity because the force of the inner dialogue is much less present. So we can access a lot of different things. So that's why that state before going to sleep is an excellent moment to set up dreaming, to set up anything that we want to kind of bring into the dream life or bring into our sleep. Then once we fall asleep, in the new view of science on sleep, stages because this is an evolving area. We still today don't really know why we have to sleep. We know that we have to sleep, and we know that if we don't sleep, we actually will die, actually physically die. But we do have a lot of information. We know that there is an enormous amount of regeneration and remodulation of the body systems and the immune system, for example, that happens during sleep. And that happens primarily during the deep stage of sleep. So a N2, N1 is the moment of as we fall asleep. N2 is the intermediate stage while we are already sleeping that always leads to two different routes. It can either lead to a very deep state we call N3, or it leads to REM sleep, which is where we have our dreams. And this goes in cycles throughout the night. Always goes N2, N3, N2, REM, N2, N3, N2, REM, and so forth. So we cycle always between a deep state of sleep and regeneration and a more active state of dreams. As the night progresses, predominantly as we are regenerating and resting enough, then the REM component becomes more enlarged. So whenever we are trying to remember dreams or have dreaming activity, it's often in the latter parts of the night or in the early morning. And sometimes, if we had a lot of activity during the daytime, a lot of input, a lot of effort, then we want to intend to just enhance the N3, intend to enhance the rest regeneration component. And then if we are rested or we're on vacation or every few days, we can then intend to highlight the REM component. So don't try to dream every single night, okay? We are giving you guidelines to, to keep a dream log and work with your dreams, but we definitely want you to have an energetic balance. So if you had a very long day, you have not many hours for sleep that night because next day you have to go to work, etc. Don't don't intend to dream. Just intend to have a good deep rest and other ways, right? So as we are then depending on how was our day, here we are going to set up some dreaming for tonight because we had a okay resting day and we have plenty of hours to sleep at night. So okay, tonight I'm gonna set up dreaming. So as I go to sleep, I do my setup dreaming practice. I connect the two areas. I do the breaths, and I'm gonna show you some ways to use the eyes also. We don't use the head for dreaming. Uh, like I said, we go into the body, but we can use the eyes. The eyes are beacons for intent, so we can use that. And the first thing is we need to uh, release the eyes as a medium for asserting the world of everyday life. That's how let's say we arrive at nighttime and we come from all day long and we have used the eyes in a particular way, mostly to take in the world, data, computers, TV, um, catching opportunities, etc. So we need to first release the eyes, disconnect, unplug the eyes from the world. And nothing better than pulling from the eyebrows to begin. So let's all do it together. So you pull for the eyebrows. I think everybody knows this already. You do it alternating. You first stay at the area near the bridge of the nose for quite a bit. You want to try to grab as much as you can of the eyebrow and then slide it upwards towards the hair until it slides out of your finger. So between the thumb and the index, you are pulling up. and then you grab it again, but you pull as you go along the eyebrow, you pull away from the bone, different angle, different direction of pulling. And you take your time, and you want to stay a couple of extra times right at the midline of the eyebrow above where the pupil would be in the middle of the eye. What we are intending is to close the eyes as a way to see the world from the everyday attention, from the first attention, and open the eyes to see from the non-linear world, from the dream world, from the double, or from the other. All right, release, shake the hands, any tension there. And now we're going to massage around the eye, not the eye itself, but around the eye. So all the bone and the eyebrow and around. So brush the hands in a circular way. It's easier going outwards, so when you go through the eyebrow, you're not going across against the hairs. Okay, and now you're going to massage the actual eyeball itself. So gentle massage, but you definitely want to be massaging the eye with the eyelids closed and massaging the actual eye itself. Slowly and just exploring, releasing tension, letting the eyes get a break. All our eyes are overworked. If you're wearing contact lenses right now, of course you have to adapt, and you want to do this afterwards in bed without contact lenses. All right, let your hands go, release. Now I want to show you something that we're going to do with the eyes. And the first, you're going to close the eyes, and we're going to the eyelid, and we're going to first just lift the eyeball, right? So we're going to be with the eyes closed and looking up slightly. We're going to stay there for a bit. And then what I want you to do is this is a way to engage the eyes in a non-linear way. Okay, so now we've released the first day, the everyday attention from the eyes, and we're going to use them as a way to enter into dreaming. And so what I want you to do afterwards is, when I tell you, is you're going to feel how the eyes are continuing the circle back and around, and then coming back to the front from underneath. So we have eye level, and then we're going to then lift the eyes maybe 45 degrees and keep them there for a little bit. And when I tell you, you're going to continue the line as if we're looking like this up, and then I'm going to without physically doing it, but doing it with your intent, you're going to keep rolling up.